So this is the holy appearance day of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, and this is very important ceremony, celebration today for many different reasons, including this is the annual day for the Krishna Balarama Mandir in the Bhubaneswar, last founded project of Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada, he laid that cornerstone for this temple on Lord Nityananda's appearance day. And today also is auspicious day because we also had our ceremony for the cornerstone laying for the new brahmachari ashram. Lord Nityananda Prabhu ki! Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki! So we pray to Srila Prabhupada and to Srila Gurudev, all the Vaishnavas, for their mercy to be able to speak something about Lord Nityananda. We cannot imitate our spiritual master or the acharyas, previous acharyas, but we can try by this glorification to get their mercy, to purify our own consciousness, and to try to do some service by glorifying the Lord for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudev and all of the assembled Vaishnavas. So we started off today with this very famous song, Nitai Pada Kamala, Koti Chandra Shushitala, and this is from Narottam Das Thakur, and it's teachings to the mind. It's called Mana Shiksha. It's very fitting that the teachings of the mind should start off with praying for mercy from Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Srila Prabhupada, he gives a very nice purport on this song, and we can start off with that discussion of Lord Nityananda from Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada says this is a very nice song. This is sung by Narottam Das Thakur, and he advises that Nitai Pada, the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Kamala means lotus, Pada means feet. The lotus feet of Lord Nityananda are our only shelter, where one can get the soothing moonlight, the moonlight rays, not one moon, but millions and millions of moons. And Prabhupada says we can just imagine the aggregate total value of the soothing shine of millions and millions of moons that will relieve this forest fire. We're burning in the forest fire. Uncontrolled mind and senses, material desires, material attachments, so much simple activities, so much aparadhs we're committing. So this is a burning condition that the conditioned soul finds himself in. So Narottam Das Thakur is stating that you take shelter of Lord Nityananda, and he is very soothing, like millions and millions of moons. He can cool down all of this materialism, all of this suffering, and all of this anxiety that is part of this material world. And it's explained, our Gurudev many times he said that there is no other place to go. We have no other qualification. We're so sinful, committing so much aparadhs, no real qualification we have in the Kali Yuga. So Lord Nityananda, he is the last and final limit of mercy. So when everyone else has already given up on us, even including ourselves, and we have no hope, we have no chance, still Lord Nityananda is there. And Gurudev, our spiritual master, many times he said, you just dash your head, grab the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda and dash your head at his lotus feet and just cry and cry and cry and beg for that mercy from Lord Nityananda. And then all of this burning sensation that we're feeling and the suffering and anxiety of this material world, all of that will go away. So this is a very, very nice day. Lord Nityananda is especially merciful on this day. So we should heartily, wholeheartedly, with a simple heart, no duplicity, no crookedness, no pride, no arrogance, none of these demoniac things. Just empty the heart, the simple heart. We just cry before Lord Nityananda. We beg for his mercy, and he wants to shower mercy. He's just waiting when we will sincerely come to him and cry before him. So Prabhupada explains here that in the material world, Everyone is progressing towards hell by committing unlimited sinful activities. And therefore there's always a blazing fire. Material life, material consciousness means we're always in trouble. We're always trying to put out some fires. Some saying is there like that. Your life, you're just trying to put out some fire. So the troubles are coming automatically because it's a degraded age, the Kali Yuga, most degraded age. And ultimately by committing so much sinful activity, offenses, we're gliding towards hell. And therefore we're in this blazing fire and everyone is struggling very hard how to find a real peace. And Prabhupada says without real peace there's no question of happiness. So if we want to become really peaceful and really happy, then we must surrender and beg mercy from Lord Nityananda. Prabhupada says the whole world they want to have real peace. And then if they do, they should take shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, which are cooling like the shining of millions and millions of moons. This will give you relief. If you actually want relief from the struggle of your existence, and you actually, finally, you want to extinguish the blazing fire of the material pangs, or getting free from the heavy lashes of Maya, then Narottam Das Thakur, he advises everyone, please take shelter of Lord Nityananda. And what will be the result of accepting that shelter of the Lord? Narottam Das Thakur says, Heno Nitai Bine Bhai, unless one takes shelter under the shade of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, then Radha Krishna Paite Nai, it will be very difficult. It will be impossible for him to be able to approach Radha and Krishna. They want to run after Radha and Krishna, but they want to neglect Nityananda, and Nityananda, a representative, by not following strictly instructions, not getting mercy of Nityananda. Without mercy and blessings from Lord Nityananda, there's no question of Radha and Krishna bhajan. So this is all just a phantasmagoria, wishful thinking, Gurudev said many times. One must hold very tightly, clasp very tightly the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, and the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda's representative, his representative, bona fide spiritual master. In this way we can get shelter and protection, we can purify our heart and consciousness, and ultimately with a purified heart and consciousness, with all filth, all material desires, material attachments, all these things free from the heart, then we can practice seriously this Radha Krishna bhajan. Before that it is all pretension, it is all pretending, it's all cheating, it's all some type of subtle sense gratification or for name and fame. So this, we have to follow the path of the Mahajans, and that means that we must strictly follow and surrender at the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Otherwise, Prabhupada says that it will be very, very difficult for you to seriously and sincerely approach Radha and Krishna. And the aim of this Krishna consciousness movement is to enable us to approach Radha and Krishna, to serve them with loving devotion, and ultimately to enter into the sublime pleasure dance, to be able to dance with Radha and Krishna with purified heart and consciousness. So to get that qualification, to be able to dance with Radha and Krishna, to go back home, back to Godhead and participate in those leelas, the first requirement is we must purify our heart and our consciousness. And the only way to truly do that is to completely surrender to Nityananda and Nityananda's man, bona fide Guru, and to try sincerely and seriously to please him, to serve him, to get his mercy and his blessing. And Krishna says if you get the mercy and blessing, Krishna says to show special mercy and blessing to my devotees, my surrendered devotees. I destroy all that is troublesome in the heart, all that is tamagun, all darkness in the heart. Then Krishna, with that mercy from Guru and Krishna, completely purify the heart and consciousness. Then in that purified state of consciousness, then we can become fit to move in that direction of surrendering and serving in the association of Srimati Radharani and Krishna and their dearest devotees. So this is the purpose and the aim of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is how to qualify ourselves to participate in those pastimes. Narottam Das Thakur, he advises that if one actually wants to enter into this dancing party of Radha and Krishna, then he must accept the shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. So by neglecting Nityananda, not following the instructions of Nityananda, Nityananda is man, bona fide spiritual master, who's representative of Lord Nityananda, there's no question of getting mercy from Lord Nityananda. And without that mercy, there's no question of getting purified in our heart and our consciousness to qualify ourselves to be able to properly participate in those pastimes with Srimati Radharani and Krishna. Then Narottam Das Thakur says, Se sambandhahi. Sambandha means connection and contact. Anyone who has not contacted or is not connected in a relationship with Nityananda is understood to have completely spoiled his human birth. The point of the human birth is to get Krishna Prema to go back home, back to Godhead. Without Lord Nityananda, there's no question of that happening. If we do not have a connection or a relationship, and we do not surrender and have full faith in Lord Nityananda, then the human form of life and the purpose of the human form of life ultimately is spoiled. Prabhupada says that Narottam Das Thakur also sings in another song, Hari Hari Vipale Janama Gayanu, that anyone who does not approach Radha and Krishna through a relationship with Nityananda has uselessly spoiled his life. So same tattva, same point. So without Nityananda, without surrender to Nityananda and following instructions of Nityananda, there's no question of Radha Krishna bhajan, there is no question of Radha and Krishna service. Therefore, one has spoiled the purpose of the human form of life. Prabhupada continues that anyone who does not make a relationship with Nityananda, he is simply spoiling the boon and the purpose of this human form of life. And why is he spoiling it? How is he spoiling? Sei pashu boro daracha. Pashu means animal. Daracha means misbehaved. Acting like a misbehaved animal. Therefore, we're not able to take and receive that mercy from Lord Nityananda. Therefore, there's no question of worship of Radha and Krishna. So without elevation to Krishna consciousness through the mercy of Lord Nityananda and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then your life is completely spoiled, and the end result will be you will simply be engaged in animalistic propensities, eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Just engaged in sense gratification. Narottam Das Thakur says that ordinary animals, you can tame those animals. But when the human being is animalistic, acting like animal, and only engaged in animalistic propensities, he is most horrible, for he cannot be tamed. You cannot tame him. And Gurudev was speaking in the class last night that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, better to remain in the lower species of life, birds, animals, beasts, fish, because those lower species, they have no duplicity. They're very simple, no duplicity, no pretension is there, no crookedness is there. So better to be simple in a lower species, to be in a human form of life, and to maintain this kapatya, this crookedness, and this lack of simplicity. So therefore, in that animalistic consciousness, one cannot be tamed. And such a person, it says, Narottam Das Thakur said that there's no one more sinful than that they're not able to receive and understand the mercy of Lord Nityananda. Therefore they came and then they left. They came and then left. Therefore, because of these qualities, these bad qualities, this crookedness, a lack of simplicity, therefore they could not avail themselves the mercy of Lord Nityananda. Therefore, they could not purify their heart and their consciousness, not prepared to go through that process of purification. Therefore, they came and then they left. And Guru did many times, especially on Lord Nityananda's appearance day, talked about Krishna and Balarama. And Balarama, he has a plow, and he's cultivating the field with that plow in order that that seed of bhakti lata bij can be placed in that heart, in that clear, clean field. That is the work of Nityananda Balarama, to purify the heart and consciousness, to prepare us for that bhakti lata bij. But if we'll neglect Lord Nityananda, neglect Nityananda Ram, and not go through that process, and then prematurely, artificially, neglect the cleansing process and the cleaning process as coming by following the instructions of Lord Nityananda, and rather we just jump to the worship, so-called worship of Radha and Krishna. Actually, it's all pretension, and ultimately it's offensive. It's considered to be an offense. We can never accept, we can never reach our ultimate goal. So human life is meant more than to act like animals and to keep the heart filthy, contaminated. Gurudev many times would quote Lord Jesus Christ, and he said, empty thyself, and then I will fill you. And that example is there. If you have the pot, you want to go to the Ganges to get the water of the Ganges, to get the mercy of the Ganges. If the pot is filled with all filthy things, all nasty things, then you cannot dip in that pot and pull out any water, any mercy from the Ganges. So therefore the heart has to be completely empty, completely purified. And so without following the instructions, without tightly holding the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda and Lord Nityananda's representative bona fide Guru, there's no way to purify our heart and our consciousness. Therefore there's no way to receive mercy from the Lord and the Lord's devotees. So this is the work of those devotees who are actually serious to get the mercy, to advance in the actual process according to the instructions of the Lord and His dear devotees, previous acharyas. So those persons who are crooked-hearted, duplicitous, pretending, what are they doing? Prabhupada says, Nitai na bolilo muke, since they do not know who is Nityananda. They never say the names of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya. Majilo samsarasuke. They become, what is it? Majilo means becomes absorbed. They become absorbed. The end result of the so-called Radha Krishna bhajan is they become absorbed in so-called materialistic enjoyment. Because the heart was never cleansed, and they're only committing offense, not following the instruction of the acharyas, not tightly clasping the instructions, the mission of the spiritual master who's a representative of Lord Nityananda. There's no question of purifying the heart and the consciousness. Therefore, this so-called bhajan turns out to be bhojan. Just running after material sense gratification. Such persons, they don't care who is Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. Therefore, they go deep, deep down into the materialistic existence, because without the mercy, then we're in fallen condition and we're just lost. Vidya kule ki koriveta. If one has no connection with Nityananda, and if he does not come to Krishna consciousness by Nityananda's mercy, then his vidya, his so-called jnana, his so-called knowledge, academic education, and his so-called birth in a high family or great nation, that will not protect him. That cannot protect him. And that is not real knowledge. This is theoretical knowledge. That's jnana only, not vijnana. Vijnana means a realized knowledge. So without mercy of Lord Nityananda, without mercy of Lord Nityananda's man, bona fide spiritual master, one cannot develop realized knowledge of this tattva vijnanam. So Prabhupada says, why are these human animals, why are they acting in this way? Because they have become mad by their false ego, ahankara, mata, hoya, by a false concept of their bodily life. They're in a great bodily illusion, and therefore they have completely forgotten their eternal relationship with Lord Nityananda, Satguru, Shri Guru. They've forgotten that relationship. They're disconnected from that relationship by not strictly following the instructions. Therefore, they become mad by their false ego. They become engaged in committing offenses in so-called Radha Krishna bhajan. And therefore, they have completely spoiled their human form of life. Therefore, they're most unfortunate persons. So persons who have not connected, who are not contacted, who do not stay connected with Lord Nityananda, they are just accepting this illusory body as a factual. They remain on a bodily, mental platform, wishful thinking at best. Narottam Das Thakur then says, Nitaya Karuna Ave Vraje Radha Krishna Pari. If you actually want to approach the association of Radha and Krishna, you must achieve the mercy of Lord Nityananda first. Without strictly following the instructions of Lord Nityananda and Lord Nityananda's representative, bona fide Guru, in Mahaprabhu's parampara, there is no question of getting their mercy. There is no question of engaging or associating with Radha and Krishna. One time a devotee asked our Gurudev, can I read the Rasa Shastras? Can I read all the Rasa Shastras? He was very much inclined towards Gyan. He's thinking himself very advanced. He asking our spiritual master, who's a true representative of Lord Nityananda and Srimati Radharani, Krishna, can I read these elevated Shastras? And Gurudev just sort of looked at him and said, yes, if you're free from sex life. If you're free from gross and subtle sex life, then you can proceed. So without mercy of Lord Nityananda, without mercy and blessings of Lord Nityananda and his representative, there's no question of getting free from this sex life, gross and subtle sex life. No way to get free from all of this filth or disease within the heart. So when Nityananda is merciful towards you, then you'll be able to approach Radha and Krishna. Therefore, Daro Nitai Charana Dukhani, Narottam Das Thakur advises that one firmly catch the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Firmly, very firmly. And Gurudev explained this means to very firmly stick to the instructions of the spiritual master. So we want to literally catch the feet of Lord Nityananda and Lord Nityananda's representative, bona fide Guru, and we want to very strictly hold on, clasp tight the instructions and the orders of our spiritual master or representative of Lord Nityananda as the prerequisite to be able to receive mercy, which is what is required to be able to really advance in the path of bhakti. Then he says, Nitai Charana Satya, that one should not misunderstand and think that he is already, that as he has caught hold of Maya, so similarly, Hare Krishna, so similarly, the lotus feet of Nityananda may also be something like Maya or illusion. Therefore, Narottam Das Thakur, he confirms, Nitai Charana Satya, the lotus feet of Nityananda, they are not illusion. That is the only reality. Everything besides that is illusion. Everything besides that is Maya. Tahara Sevaka Nitya, and one who engages in the transcendental loving service of Nityananda and Nityananda's representative, he also becomes transcendental. Without purification, how will we become transcendentally situated? We just remain on bodily platform. So mercy of Lord Nityananda is most important thing. Prabhupada continues, if one engages in transcendental loving service of Nityananda in Krishna consciousness, he immediately achieves his transcendental position on the spiritual platform. So if we wholeheartedly agree to understand and to instruct and to follow the instructions of our spiritual master with the mercy of Guru and Krishna, we can immediately be situated on transcendental platform and purified by their mercy. Srila Prabhupada recently, when I was in Mumbai, I heard one class and Prabhupada said that you can become Krishna conscious in 1 second. In 1 second you can become Krishna conscious. If you would just agree, seriously, sincerely, to follow the instructions of Krishna, Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda, and their representative, bona fide Guru. If you will just wholeheartedly agree with a simple heart, and we say, at any cost, I must do it. If we are convinced, and we convince our spiritual master, we convince Lord Nityananda, then with the mercy, immediately we can become purified and situated on transcendental platform. You like a chair? It'd be easier, huh? Yeah. And that platform is eternal and it is blissful. Eternal and blissful. Some chair? Don't we want to become happy? If we're engaged in materialistic life, so much anxiety is there, so much disturbance, so much suffering is on that platform. Are we happy with that? Is it nice? Is it not pinching us? Is it not hurting us? So if we're conscious and we realize that we're suffering because we're not seriously, sincerely surrendering to Guru and Krishna, then we should think, I cannot live in this body. I cannot live in this condition. Therefore, only solution, just surrender to the orders of the spiritual master wholeheartedly, your body, your mind, your soul, everything, and just beg there and cry there for mercy. And the spiritual master, representative of Lord Nityananda like millions of moons. At night you see in India, after the hot day, everyone is sitting out under the moonlight. They're getting cooled down. That's only one moon. Lord Nityananda like millions and millions of moons. So why are we avoiding that? Only because Narottam Das Thakur said, because you're in an animalistic consciousness. You cannot realize what is your suffering condition. Therefore, you're not trying to solve your condition. Somehow, by good fortune, by good association, if we can realize, oh, I'm serving Maya, I have uncontrolled mind and senses, I'm getting so much suffering, so much reaction, so much punishment is coming to me. If we get any good intelligence, we'll realize, oh, I must change this condition. And how to change that condition means we must surrender to Lord Nityananda and Lord Nityananda's devotee, bona fide spiritual master. And by their mercy, like gallons, oceans and oceans of samsara davan anulila loka, they just pour their mercy and they put out the fire. They put out the fire of material existence and you get the relief. So like millions of moons and like, brigade, the fire brigade with the buckets and buckets, oceans of water, they just douse all of this anxiety and fear and disturbance of the material life. Srila Prabhupada explains that the disease of the material life is anxiety. So much anxiety and fear. So if we want to solve that, we want to become peaceful, we want to become happy, we must sincerely try our best to understand and to surrender to the instructions of our spiritual master. and tightly clasp the lotus feet of the Lord and the instructions of the Lord coming through our spiritual master. So Narottam Das Thakur, he says, Narottama Bhoroduki. He's taking the position that I'm very unhappy, I'm miserable, suffering in this material life and material consciousness. Therefore, Nittai More Koro Sukhi. Therefore, I'm simply praying and I'm crying before Lord Nityananda. I want to become happy and blissful in your service. This is real intelligence. So today we're praying for the mercy of Lord Nityananda, that he will keep us, Rako Ranga Charna Pasha, that please keep me. Don't kick me. Please just keep me in the corner of your lotus feet. So we must cry and pray for that, because Maya is too strong, too powerful, too bewildering. And we have no good intelligence, no good strength, not proper understanding in the Kali Yuga. Therefore, mercy is completely required, and the last limit of mercy, that is Lord Nityananda. So we're humbly crying, begging for that mercy, that we can become purified and free from this materialistic life and materialistic desires and materialistic attachments, all these things which are actually on a suffering platform, putting us into so much fear and anxiety, so much uncertainty and disturbance. Then we can become really peaceful and really happy, and in a blissful mood and a blissful heart, we can begin to really understand how to surrender and to serve Radha and Krishna. Nityananda Ram Jaya Nityananda Ram. Nityananda Ram Jaya Nityananda Ram. Patita Pavana Nityananda Ram. Patita Pavana Nityananda Ram. Hare Krishna. Asa, asa, basa, basa. How much time?
Only 5 minutes.
5 minutes? Punch? All right. So we have 5 minutes, so we have to fill up every last second that we can to get the mercy from Lord Nityananda. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Bhagavata, very nicely, he is glorifying Lord Nityananda, so we can quickly look at that. That's in the 12th chapter in the Madhya Lila, Chaitanya Bhagavata by, what is it? Vrindavan Das. Please excuse me. Hare Krishna. I need mercy. I need mercy. So this is Tobit. Can somebody stop the time? Just stop the time. Madan, stop the time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Now we have chance to pray to Lord Nityananda. He's coming in a purified heart and mind. Dash your head, Gurudev said, dash your head at the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. He's very merciful today. Very merciful. Let's cry seriously from the core of our heart.
And definitely He'll give us mercy. Definitely, for sure. Hare Krishna.